Back to our yes, we are. We are live. Hi, everybody. It's
Hi
Thursday
guys.
evening. Welcome to the Fox Den. Different background. I was playing with something. It's actually an old background, but I was just playing with something different, something new. And actually, I just didn't have time because I've been painting my arse off for St. Patty's Day. So, you guys, if you noticed on Facebook or if you've been paying attention, all those pictures I've been posting on Facebook about that damn thing I'm doing. It's, I have to decorate a bus.
She's
I'm
painting a bus. She's
what?
decorating a bus.
It's a 36-foot long, the bus transportation vehicles that people take and ride back and forth to work. Well, there's the bus and there's the van that will be in the St. Patty's Day parade. So I have to do both sides of the bus and the top. So 36 feet long and the top is 25 feet long. So I have 4x8 sheets. I'm painting giant leprechauns and giant rainbows and sparkles
So
galore.
the buses and everything is going to look amazing. So for you people in the neighborhood, where is the parade going to be?
Pittston.
Pittston. If you're in Pittston, you go for the St. Patty's Day parade. You know that the bus is decorated by Gina, and she'll be like this for days afterwards because
I'm
she'll
going
be
to be
so
attraction.
green. She'll be an attraction. Yeah,
Yep.
and I love this. Loki in our Twitch room says, "Yes, she is crazy. Yes, she is. We love her just the same, but we know that she's crazy."
Yep. So I've been doing that. I've been painting, 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 and now the Lenten meals is starting up again. So I've been working my butt off of that too. And Mama
I went back to work.
is
I'm
back to
torturing back the people in the office.
work. She's back to torturing everybody. The poor people. Uh,
Mm, they love me.
yeah.
They have no choice.
Hey, you know what? I don't know where his intro is.
Uh-oh.
Where is Michael's intro?
I don't know. Hold on, people. Michael, I know you can hear me. We seem to have lost your intro, so just hang tight. We'll find
Okay,
it.
guys, keep talking, Mama D. I'll find this intro here. I'm gonna have to load it up, I guess. I thought I put it on here.
Okay.
I'm
I love this one. Hello, ladies.
It's
Holy
loading.
Moses, I'm
It,
on time. Yay! There we go.
it is loading. But hi Holly, how are you? Yeah, it's been trying a few weeks, and then I had my first cortisone shot ever in
Mm,
my knuckle, and that is painful. That is
it
definitely.
is. Like I said, if they give you the needle cortisone shot and they hit exactly where the pain is, you are going to be building me like three castles for the amount of swearing from the pain.
I
But
panicking because I did it not yesterday, the day before.
mhm,
I had to go do the meals the next day, and I wanted to paint some more before the meals, all this stuff, and I couldn't grab anything. I'm going, no, never again. Oh my God. But now it feels good. I
yeah,
and I still have the lumpy thingy. I have like a
mm.
spur thing in there.
When cortisone kicks in, it's amazing.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, but the shot, if they do it right, you're not a happy bunny when it happens.
All right.
I have luckily never had that issue.
This is tonight's show though. Right. So I have three of his books. He's got four out now, and he's actually working on another one. This is like a great little Bible to have. A New Now, Unbelievable, and In Search of Lost Wives. I do not have Bliss. I am waiting to get. I have to get Bliss, but we're going to be talking about these with Michael. He is a return guest tonight. He has been on the show before, and now his bio is loaded. So let me play that, and we'll get him on here, and you guys might remember him. But he's a really cool guy. He knows
Is
a lot about spirituality. Good evening. I am Gina B. here with Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in the Fox Den. Tonight we have Michael Goddart. He authored In Search of Lost Lives, a winner of the American Book Fest Best Book Award, the Living Now Book Award, the Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award, and the National Indie Excellence Award. His new transformative book, A New Now, Your Guide to Mastering Wisdom Daily, Achieving Equilibrium, and Empowering Your Nobler Self, gives readers an invaluable guide to awakening and empowering their higher consciousness so they can readily navigate their life successfully, happily,
easily and discover how to live in their new now. When readers embark on this journey, they will experience a treasure trove of practical wisdom that will guide them step by step to their new now. Michael's fascinating journey began after his family moved from Illinois to California when he was just 10 years old. He started actively searching for the truth about death and how to attain true immortality with everlasting bliss. He began daily meditation at age 19, and at 21, he began to meditate for over 2 hours daily. For more than 3 decades, he also has been actively developing his sense of knowing and accessing his higher consciousness. Unexpectedly, in March of 2013, he began to recover exact, amazing details about 88 of his past lives, which were recounted in Search of Lost Lives, the only book to depict the spiritual evolution of a being across thousands of lives. His other books include Bliss, 33 Simple Ways to Awaken Further, which sold over 38,000 copies, and The Spiritual Revolution, A Seeker's Guide, which Hollywood Spiritual Film and Entertainment Festival named Best Spirituality Self-Help Book, and Australia's leading spiritual bookshop named it one of the 10 greatest metaphysical books ever written. He is here now to share his wisdom with us in the Fox Den, and we welcome you, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, guys. It's so great to be back with you and the audience. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It's so beautifully done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know what is funny is I actually made a new audio the other day, and I found my old audio, and I said, you know what? I like the old one better than the one I just made.
Oh, okay.
It seemed like I was hurrying the other one, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to use the old one. Holly, hi, Holly. And she just said that she gets those shots in her lower back and they work great.
Cortisol.
Oh my God, I wish I could get one right in my shoulder blade from all this painting that I'm doing. It's like, ugh, craziness. But now, Michael, you just moved again.
Well, not again. I had lived in Palm Springs for 21 years, which is unbelievably a long time. And I moved to South Orange County. And actually, I came here when I started wanting to be a writer a month after I started my junior year abroad in England. And that was triggered from a past life 2 lives ago when I had lived in England. I was alive during the golden age of the novel. And I developed this very strong desire to write novels. So that is what I call congealed into a destiny karma. So a few weeks after I landed in England, I began writing this experimental avant-garde novel and just loved it. I was very encouraged. So long story short, I had to earn a living. So I was working at the B of A as a manager in the tax department. And finally, I couldn't get up one morning. My back was completely out. And I decided I really had to commit myself to being a writer. So I moved to Irvine 40 years ago to be a writer. And now I am back in South Orange County. In the meantime, I lived in San Diego. I got an MFA in Ohio, your neighbor. That's like the terminal arts degree. So I'm out of the tax world. The IRS requisitioned my tax brain, so I won't be able to entertain any tax questions, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, that stinks.
We're good.
I'm in tax mode over here, and I have so much to.
No, actually, this will be a very involved return. I'm having quite a go at it. So it's wonderful to be in Orange County. I'm just under 10 miles from the ocean.
Wow.
And I abut a nature preserve. I don't see anything but hills behind me.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's awesome. My house in Oxford was like that. When I bought it, they said all the land that was next to it, that no one could build on it because none of that land perked, right?
Mhm.
And then what happened was two guys owned it. One guy bought the other guy out finally, right? He waited. He owns like mega land all over the place. Well, then all of a sudden, since the other guy's out, lo and behold, everything parks. So then they started building all this stuff. I sold my house just in time because they built everything. So, that ruined the whole view of
Oh, oh,
everything.
sure.
Yeah, and destroyed all the forest that I loved. I mean, I went out there one day and I heard all this noise. They had this big thing. I never seen anything like it. It was a big truck, big arm, a big blade, and it was just this thing came out. It was grabbing the trees, and this other blade was going whoa and just knocking these trees down in like a second. I mean, a bird wouldn't even have time to fly up a branch. I was like, ah, I was freaking right out. I couldn't believe it. I'm like,
I've
my
done that.
animals and this, and this was before winter. I'm like, why are they doing this? They can't build now anyway. Why are they knocking this stuff down in the winter? And then they did. They left for the whole year. So I don't know. But yeah, I was doing hearts because of Bob. There's my baby. Came on and gave us some hearts. so anyway, yeah, sidetracks. This is the first shiny ball. But I loved having that view. That nature view is just amazing. That's
I,
great.
I really need it. I mean, there's a big lake here, and it's very sought after view, but it's surrounded by buildings. I just want to be in a place kind of neutral and where I won't pick up mental vibrations. So, I mean, I just love to look at green. So it's very restful mentally, and that's important for people to really find the best environment you can with which you resonate. And I give steps to achieve that in my book and in now, um, which is I got a recent review, and it says the Bible is supposed to be an instruction book for life. This truly is a new now instruction book for life.
There you go. Nice one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful quote.
It's been a while since I've read this book, but I remember that if we ask someone to come back on, then the book is amazing. So y'all know it as it is, right? So he's back, okay, people, and it was a while. Like I dog-eared some pages and whatnot, but I was kind of reviewing and going back over things, and I all these books, this one especially too, it is like having a little Bible. It's things that you would think you would know by yourself, but someone needs to remind you of,
Mm-hmm. Sometimes
it,
we think so things are so complicated that it's the simple little things. And this is what this book does. It gives you the simple things that you kind of go, I knew that, but I shouldn't. I knew it, but I didn't know it. It was sort of sitting back there instead of sitting here where we can bring it forward more. So yeah.
Well, what prompted it? This was actually after I took a year off from writing fiction, and I didn't write, and it was really one of the toughest years of my life. I was very, very sad, and I came back because I had a very involved, sophisticated tax practice, and I went on a meditation retreat in India, and I came back, and I thought, I don't care if I spend 15 minutes a day writing, I'm going to write. Well, I felt I needed at least 2 hours to get into the fictional world. So I decided to write nonfiction. And immediately I thought, I'm going to give people the foundation of spirituality in the most concise, bite-sized principles. So what spiritual revolution is
to read and easy to follow.
to read and do any exercises you want. It's all the principles of spirituality. And by the time my second tax season ended, I had the first draft, and it was wonderful to get that book out. And it just had its 25th anniversary. Once, eventually, soon, I hope it'll be reissued. The 25th
That'd be
anniversary.
nice.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be kudos for you, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got to keep announcing the book so that it can get that second wave.
Right.
Definitely. So if you guys want to see the books closer, I have a picture right there. So that's all of them that he has out right now.
Oh, and actually, I do have some news about a new now.
Oh,
It's now won 9 book awards and
Really?
honors. Yeah,
nice.
people said they've never heard of us. It's won 9 book awards and honors. Technically, it's won 11 book awards and honors, but I'm really thrilled about that the reviewers and judges have really recognized the quality of that.
And I'm a lucky one that has it. You too can have it.
Amen.
Are they anywhere books are sold? Amazon? What?
Yep.
We can they order them through your site?
Um, no, actually, I didn't, but they can go directly to Amazon from my site, which is goddart.com. It's just my last name. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
My last name. And you can read excerpts, and I have all kinds of interviews on there.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And free media. Free media.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So now, well, just kind of give a synopsis of how this is set up.
Well, the premise of the book is empowering people to live the best life possible. It's really clarifying what your mind is and what your soul is. There's a lot of confusion out there between soul and mind, and um, who we are, our true identity is the soul, which is the spark of God, is the eternal spark of perfect love and perception. And to operate in the physical plane, well, first of all, when we came down from God, when we went into the mental planes, we had to take on the association of a mind. And there are 3 mental realms called, in English, they're called the causal plane, the astral plane, and then the physical world. So naturally, to enter the physical world, we needed a body. And all the women who have given birth can attest to that they carried a body for 9 months and gave birth. So to function in this world, we're really 3 very different kind of entities, your body, your mind, and your soul. But most people just think of themselves really as their mind. And
Right. That's the thing that's foremost.
yeah, and they completely identify with their thoughts. They think their thoughts are them rather than just stuff the mind is generating. And very early on in the book, I differentiate between the higher mind, the habitual mind, and the lower mind. What I discovered in Search of Lost Lives, my memoir of 88 past lives, is that most of my existence of human lives, and I did recover that I had 4,137 human lives on 3 planets. And the first 2 planets I lived on were really more spiritually evolved than Earth. Earth is really
Now, was
very
it
challenging.
before Earth was created, or was Earth created?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't here at that time, but
Well, we're a baby planet compared to most.
yeah, probably. But this is the 3rd planet I've occupied. I didn't jump back and forth between planets because one of the spiritual laws of creation is that you tend to go where your attachments are. So you come back. I mean, some people reincarnate and their family members are very familiar. I have one life in particular where that was the case, where I was that was my life when I was a Hungarian nobleman. And I'd had quite a few past lives with every family member but one. And we were there to really exult in our family harmony and engender love. Anyway, coming back to my point, all those lives, my lower mind was predominant most of the time. I mean, I'm sure when you think about people you know and their behavior, some people can be very kind and loving at times, and other people, and then they can be angry at other times. They can have a short fuse. Their behavior really runs the gamut. Well, 12 lives back, my higher mind finally became predominant. And that's when I took a birth in Tibet. Now, the 2 lives prior to that, my lower mind and my higher mind were pretty much in balance. So just to really explain really briefly the difference, your higher mind is your nobler, better mind. It's the part of you that wants to be kind and be of service, and it's the more spiritual you. the lower mind is the mind that's a slave to the senses, and it really gets into anger and lust and attachment. I mean, there all the what we call the mental passions, attachment, and ego. I'm sure many of us have known some very egotistical people. People who are driven by power. Just look at a few politicians, and you'll see some good examples of the lower mind being predominant. And what I call the habitual mind, which no one's really identified before, is really the part of you that shows up every day, the part of you that will brush your teeth, take out the garbage, show up at work. It's sort of your everyday showing up self. So 12 lives back, my higher mind finally became predominant. And in that life, I was associated with Buddhism. And there were two monks in particular that made an impression on me because I experienced human beings who had evolved beyond what I had known. And I became very inspired. And from then on, it was sort of a crash course in spirituality. The way In Search of Lost Lives is arranged, it goes back in time. And reading the book, you can see how I became spiritualized in certain ways.
Yeah,
Like,
isn't that funny? It's like it's a progression.
Yeah, I mean, I debated having it start with my planets and everything, but I thought that'd be a little bit too far out for people. So the last two lives, when I was an Englishman, there's a wealth of detail to really ground people. And all the lives I had.
Some of them you kind of go quickly through and
yeah,
very detailed.
But really, I never, when I began to recover the past lives, I really only wanted to know my last 4 lives, and I had curiosity about a lot of. The subtitle of the book has the word sanskaras in it, and sanskaras is a Sanskrit word meaning impressions from a past life. So I had all these interesting, particular talents and aversions and personality traits, and I always wondered where they came from. And so in the book, it lists in the beginning a lot of the peculiar things about me, and I end up linking them to particular past lives.
Right.
So the book very much defines that who we are is defined by who we've been in a past life.
We get that. We just did this with Raven. We went back, and I was actually shown 2 of the lives I've seen before, but now I know why. Brought forward, and she was actually, just for lack of a better word, a mermaid, like a mer person.
I was a merman. Man. I was male in that life.
Yeah.
Oh, really? A mermaid? So he lived in the water?
Yes. I could.
Actually, can you see the mermaid statue behind me? It's very small.
It's very, but it's on that shelf. Yep.
It's the mermaid.
Yep. Yeah, it was wild. And, but, different people do these past lives for different things, for different reasons, why we going back in our past lives. Some people we have on, like Chris Lee, will take us back in our past lives to remove fears and phobias of things from our past lives. So everything definitely carries through. Our traits, everything, our artistic abilities, our writing abilities, our song abilities, whatnot too, things like that, creativity.
Right, and we can prepare for a life in between lives. I mean, somebody like Mozart or Picasso don't come in completely incognizant of music or art. I mean, Mozart was a boy genius from the get-go.
Yeah, so definitely reincarnation, right?
Yeah, I mean, people are not meant. One of the rules of the physical world is that people are typically, hi Chris, are typically not meant to recall your past lives, partly because, or mainly because, if you knew what suffering you had endured, you wouldn't want to stay. You'd want to get out of this physical world.
Yeah.
But one of the things I worked on in my meditations between lives was how to project myself across thousands of years to capture details. So when I was recovering my past lives, the details I was reliving were more real than when I was in elementary school.
Now,
When I
how
had,
were you? How were you recovering these past lives? I mean, were you going just with meditation, doing this yourself? Were you
well, I was really in my higher mind, and was sort of like, well, your soul knows everything. I mean, your soul is pure perception, but because we've had all these lives through all the forms of life, plant life, insect life, animal life, but mainly the human lives, you developed all these layers of mind, so we can't access it. So all the decades of meditation I've done, and since I was a teenager, I've been working with my intuition. So I kind of developed a system with my higher mind to not only access things and see them, but know what was true and what wasn't true. But really, most of the writing of the book, I was directed by my higher mind. I thought I'd end up with 20 pages I would share with a few friends. I kept getting directed to recover
Yeah.
groups of lives. So there are 4 groups of 7 lives each, where each life had what is called an evolutionary spiritual experience. So one of the points of the book was to kind of show that reincarnation is real, but also to give a sense of all of our comings and goings across time. And also to show you what a precious gift your human life is, because I include 12 lives where my hurtful actions outweighed my better actions, and I didn't get to come back as a human. I came back as an animal, and a lot of those animal lives were pretty tough,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, they do say that about that karma type things. If you're really, really, really bad, you can come back as like insects, worms, larvae, this, that, the other thing, and kind of basically starting over again.
Right. Now, I never recovered a life when I dipped below the animal kingdom. I never went down to a bird, but I think it can happen. I did recover lives when I went to what I call, in neutral language, a state of reformation, which in ordinary parlance is called hell. So I went to these hells for what was like an eternity of suffering, until I paid off. But I was reformed. My personality was reformed to have a higher regard for human life. The first life I recovered, Gina and Mama D, was when I was a ruler of a country about the size of Vietnam, and I started an unnecessary war, and over 250,000 people were killed as a result. So that's the first life I recovered when I was on another planet.
What did you write in here? I think it was a holy shit. I was.
Yes, holy shit.
It was the cause of.
When that life came back to me, I just literally kind of rolled off my recliner and rolled into a fetal position. I felt so horrible.
Oh,
It was really heavy, but it was a really fascinating life. And that's what I call a notable life. That's one of the other terms I created. A notable life, and I have 13 of them in the book, is a life where it's kind of bigger. It sort of stands out and comes with you. So believe it or not, I keep up with international news, and when I'm reading about international happenings, it's like my mind is telling leaders what they should do. It's sort of like I brought that with me. It's like, well, if I was the ruler of this country, this is what I would do. This is how I would act.
I
So
do that
that's
all the time. I always say, if
what.
I was president of this country,
Yeah.
it would be really.
Yeah, so that was a notable life, but you don't have to be famous. A notable life, it's a life that's bigger than your other life, and it stays with you. But I also found out there are 3 lives that I resonate with the most this life, and the first was when I was a Greek philosopher. Of my last 50 lives, that was the life when I was richest, and I was able to, go to a Greek philosophy school and write scrolls, and that was quite a fascinating life. And also my life as a Carthusian monk in Slovenia. That was 6 lives ago. It was after I was a priest in Prague. I was in Prague during the Golden Age, when Prague was really a completely happening place. And I had the richest parish in Prague. I was buddies with the cardinal, who actually was one of my best friends in this life. We went to high school together. But, there was just too much to do with the bureaucracy and tending to the selfish needs of the flock. And I was just craving like this pure spirituality. And that's what happened my next life when I was a monk. And I was a very independent practicing monk. And I actually, in this lifetime, came across the monastery I lived in
Ooh,
Oh, that's
Slovenia.
cool.
And it just thinking about it brought chills back. It was
yeah, that would
outside
be
of,
something that would.
it was
No.
outside of
Do you
Ljubljana, in
think like
Slovenia.
a reoccurring dream that someone could have could be visions of a past life?
It could be, but I just don't. To be honest, I don't trust dreams. Yesterday morning, I had some really crazy dreams. It's just, I just call it, the mind flushing out all kinds of impressions and combining them. I mean, think of Dali or a surrealistic painter. That's what your mind is doing with all its
Yeah.
impressions. It's sort of like getting them on a canvas and
But
flushing them out.
I used to when I was a kid, I used to have the same dream over and over and over again about this specific house. And I would go into the house, and I can still see the kitchen
Well, that could be a past life
in my mind.
dream. I mean, you can have some
Hall.
dreams are actually visions. I mean, nothing is impossible. I mean, everything is quite possible. Anything you can think of is quite possible. In one part of a new book, God does not have any name. We talked about this in the last show. I I coined the term love source with the L and the S capitalized. That's one of my favorite terms for God. But at one point in a new now, I say another name for God is diversity. I mean, God, the love source is the experience itself through the creation. So everything under the sun and the moon and dark matter is God, it's a projection of God.
Yeah. You gotta just excuse me. I'm sorry I'm fidgety, but I'm like
Oh,
sore.
well, yeah, you need to get up and move. I know what that's like.
Yeah, I'm just
By the way, I'm happy your cortisone shots worked. I've had quite a few and they missed the spot. They didn't do anything for me.
Yeah,
So,
same here. I don't. Cortisone doesn't do anything for me.
yeah,
She's sore and I'm freezing. I'm up here in Quebec. I got snow at the Yang Yang.
I can imagine.
we had some snow and sleet and rain and stuff.
Oh please, your snow was what, this deep?
Oh, not even. Yeah, I came out.
Mine's over 8 feet tall.
Covered, put on the
Yeah.
windshield wipers, and that was it.
There you
Hey,
go.
Roger.
Hey,
Hi.
funny mate. Hey, Reg.
Hey, Roger.
Roger was our guest last week. But the links don't go live until the show goes live.
Right. So I've been kind of talking on and on, but anything you want to ask me, I'm happy to address.
Well, now you said you started meditating when you were 19. So what was it that actually prompted that, and then you went from that to over?
Well, really, my spiritual awakening this life really happened when I was 10, right after we moved, as you said in the intro, from Illinois to California. I was trying to contact spirit entities through my higher consciousness. I was practicing automatic writing. I was practicing self-hypnosis. When I was 12, I came across Edgar Cayce, and as soon as I read the word reincarnation, I immediately recognized it as true. So I really began consciously searching for my spiritual path when I was 11, when I let go of my parents' religion. I knew I wanted to attain an everlasting consciousness of bliss and not have to come back in life after life, because it was such a crapshoot, actually. Because the thing people don't realize, and they're not really meant to, but I'm hoping my books will give people an appreciation, is you don't have any idea what actions you performed in a past life. So all these actions you've been performing in past lives, you are accruing karmas. Now you have all kinds of good karmas and bad karmas and in-between karmas. But I've been through just a huge wealth of physical suffering this lifetime. That all relates to stuff I've done in the past. you know. I'm probably still paying off what happened when I was a ruler. So we can't see the karma unless you're really spiritually advanced, if you go beyond the mind. So you don't know what's coming down the pike. This is your chance to get it right, to spiritualize yourself, however you were called. And I'm not here to point anyone in any direction into other place, right? I just would love people to empower their higher selves.
Yeah.
And a new now can do that, those two
Yeah.
books.
The new now is like a must have, right? This is like the condensed version, right? It's like little snippets, very easy to read things, very, very concise. I just want to read like some of the titles that you have here, like
Chapter titles.
first you got to realize that you're gonna die. You're not gonna make it.
Well, I think I called it, this is a toenail curling kind of book.
I gotta find it now. I don't. Damn it! I don't know where it is. But it was like, yeah, you gotta realize that you're not gonna make it. But
I have it here, actually.
okay,
But you go first.
I'm trying to find it. I just love the names of. This is just the contents. Transcend the boundaries of race, religion, and who is right. The next one, treat everyone lovingly and thank God for all your gifts. Don't look for true happiness and peace in the world. Look for it within. That was amazing too. And all these things, they're short little snippets. Like I said, like you could just open a page, like if you needed something in the morning, open a page, do repetition. I love that. I mean, like who doesn't know, that's the way, practice till you can make it perfect. You have one that's
Feelings of unhappiness in the spiritual field.
But I still can't find the one that's like, oh my gosh, where is it?
Which one are you looking for?
When you talk about death, it was
embrace the fact that you're going to die.
That's the one. Embrace the fact.
That's the first one.
Okay, that's why I can't find it.
And then the subtitle of that is discover what real unquote is going to die. And that's actually where my search began. I've been raising tropical fish since I was age 5. And so every month or two, a fish would go belly up and I'd have to flush it down the toilet. So I was well acquainted, unfortunately, with death, at least in the fish world. So when I was 11, I really faced off the fact that I was going to die, and I was trying to imagine what that would be like. And I would just start shaking and breaking into a cold sweat. My knees would be buckling. And I thought, there must be something I can do about this. I was really precocious, but I was meant to. I mean, this whole life had been mapped out,
Yeah.
I have an odd question.
Sure.
It kind of sort of relates, but doesn't relate. Why do we always flush dead fish? You're not going to swim anymore. It's like
no, but it's sort of like
too, so
on water going back to water is the idea.
Yeah.
And if you just put them in the garbage, they're going to smell. So
yeah, because back in our day, there was no composting and recycling. It was just everything was in the trash. So yeah. But
yeah, now maybe
all the other animals, we flush the fish.
yeah,
flush the fish, right? Now, in a few of the titles, you mentioned the word within, and and that's actually something I think a lot of people may not appreciate, and I kind of addressed this in the introduction to Bliss. When I say within, it's sort of like when you close your eyes and you're at the eye center, which is the seat of your mind and soul. That is the beginning of within. So that is merely the beginning. And when people want to remember something, some people will touch their foreheads. But the fact is, when you are within, that is the gateway to higher worlds. Mm-hmm. So there are meditations where you can concentrate and collect your mind and soul currents and pierce. You have an energetic aperture.
Yeah.
Your eye, and you can withdraw it's not an out-of-body experience. It's going within the body into the higher astral realm.
Right.
So
Now,
every human has this ability, this capacity.
yeah. Now, in your past lives, now I know that you were a monk and you were
Mhm.
Buddhist, all that kind of stuff. Were you ever a shaman?
Not that I recovered, actually. Well, I mean, on one of my extraplanetary lives, I call it the spellbinding life. That was quite a crazy life. I tried to learn how to cast spells, and a few of them went awry, and they landed on the wrong person. Uh,
Not good.
so that was a life in the planet I call Vizine. So that was quite an interesting life, and I don't think I made it back as a human, as I recall. It was kind of a crazy life, but I wasn't a shaman, the way we would define it.
Hmm.
But
You were a Hungarian water dowser.
yes, yes. What I love the title of that life. What was that?
Smell of water.
Ooh.
Yes, a faux water. That was a fabulous, interesting life. It was a very poor life, but I, I I loved recovering that because I was very connected to that in this life. Interestingly, I thought about it. I related to it.
What sign are you?
I was born under the sign of Virgo, so I'm totally a Virgo.
Okay.
But I mean, I think astrology. Astrology is sort of a science you can master. Um, but I don't, I've yet to meet a real master in astrology. I think some of the general things are true. Um, I've had quite a few locational astrology readings, but the planets are always moving. I think it's great. I think I can. I've been into astrology a lot in my 20s and 30s, but the planets are shifting. So something. I mean, I've had locational readings where the astrologer will say, "Well, he said you should move to the Virgin Islands. It's the first place I visited when I decided I wanted to leave Palm Springs. It'd be great socially. It'd be great for your writing." Well, I actually left with the most challenging part of the memoir of past lives. I thought it would take me weeks to write it. Well, it just flowed. It was just, I was amazed how well it went. But then, the planet shifted, and I decided the Virgin Islands would be too challenging. Well, I went to the health food store. It was sort of as large as my den. And I thought, no, this is too, and the driving there, I didn't want to live around tourists all the time, which was Palm Springs, actually. I wanted a more quiet place, but I love the tropics. So, all of us, if you're searching, if you're seeking, you've had quite a few spiritual past lives. And this is the life to capitalize on everything you've done before.
Yeah.
I just find it so fascinating that you can just get so many of them.
Yeah. For
I mean,
all of your past lives, Michael, do you find a common link in any of them that bring you as to why? Like, because we always have to learn from our past lives, our past mistakes, and sometimes we bring them into this life or the next life, whatever. But have you ever, with all the past lives that you have you ever noticed there's a common link or something you all have in common? Like, did you all have the same birthday? Did you all?
Well, the only kind of common thread and the common theme which comes through in the memoir is that I was being spiritualized in all kinds of ways. Like one life in Europe, I believe it was in Sweden, I didn't realize that when you killed animals, they felt pain. I didn't have that consciousness that if you kill an animal, they would suffer. Well, I got that life, and that was part of my spiritualization process. So I was being primed for really kind of focused spirituality, and everything was building up to this lifetime. But the destiny you go through is really a kind of a compendium, a smorgasbord of all kinds of karmas that have come from lives before. And a lot of them, a lot of it is attachment. If you desire, I think a lot of these really brilliant film people, they were like alive in the 20s and 30s, and maybe they made a little bit of progress in the movie business, but they had an overpowering business to direct or be famous actors. I mean, why do you get these brilliant young actors when they're 5 or 7 or 8? They've prepared for it,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. I know. I think you're just born into these things. All right.
So
Just talked to my doctor the other day. He was showing me pictures because I said I was talking about the artwork I was doing with my hand. And he goes, "Oh my God, my daughter is really into art. She's 9 right now. And she's like," he showed me some of her work. Something she drew a pear when she was 3 years old, colored it in, shaded it, and everything else. 3 years old. He said he knew that there was something to her. And I'm like, well, definitely, get her into the arts, pursue the arts with her. And he is,
yeah.
and, but
And
yeah,
so it's very important to honor those inherent truths and abilities. But the main thing is like, I mean, I was telling you in our last show that, when I was 7, I started doing architecture. I was drawing floor plans and elevations. I was building little houses from my HO train set. Well, that relates to 3 lives ago when I was an architect in Baltimore. And it was just after the American Revolution. And I had 4 children, and I had a struggle to get commissions. And the only thing I was able to design and have built were commercial buildings. So I had this really strong desire to design houses. So my father was selling real estate for a while. And I mean, the first time I saw a floor plan, I just went nuts. I was just thrilled. I was just so excited. So I started drawing floor plans. Well, I came into this life with this very strong desire to do residential architecture. And right after we moved to Marin, I had a portfolio which I sent to the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation. And the head architect, Aaron Green, called me in for an interview. I was like 11 years old, and he said, "This is really impressive. When you finish high school, I want you to come here. You have a job waiting for you."
amazing.
It was amazing. And he gave me an autographed book by Frank Lloyd Wright. And I thought, well, am I going to be an architect? No, I finished that desire. That was something I had to go through. So like the whole point of A New Now is to empower you to find your own true path. And you may go on detours or
Yeah, but I mean, what we think and feel and do now is not what we're going to think and feel and do next week or next year or 10 years or whatever.
Right. I mean, you may go through 3 very different kinds of meditation. You may do yoga, a certain kind of yoga for 12 years. When I was really meditating daily 5 lives ago, when I was a business owner in India, I was doing Raja Yoga, and I had a guru. I was initiated at a young age. But that ultimately didn't fulfill me. I left that life wanting to experience an all-embracing love. I wanted to just feel this love coming at me because I was in an arranged marriage. I had 3 daughters who I loved, but I didn't love my wife. I mean, we got along, but I was really happy when her in-laws came and a friend let me stay at his house, and I was able to meditate. So what was my life after that life of doing Raja Yoga and being in India? I became an orphan in Denmark. I was dropped off at an orphanage when I was like a little bit over a month old. So I grew up in an orphanage, and I left when I was 12.
Danish things. You had a few Danish and a few Swedish things. Are they kind of like?
Well, I do write about 5 lives when I was in Denmark and 5 lives when I was in Sweden. But just to finish this most recent life in Denmark, which was 4 lives ago, I became an actor, and it was all about receiving the love from the audience. I mean, it was all about exchanging love. I had 3 female partners that lifetime. Part of the time we had our own kind of traveling carriage, and we would do these really bawdy acts, and it was just like ambrosia, nectar, when I would get the acclaim. And so that was my all-embracing love that was being fulfilled from my life in India. But that still wasn't enough, and that led to my life in America. So the point I want to make, everything is connected, everything makes sins. But the challenge we've been given by love sources, we may not necessarily know how it's connected, why it's connected, why it's making sense.
Yeah.
But everything is for a purpose, and so one of the unusual chapters in the New Now is the wisdom of grooming. And when people see that, they may think, huh, what's this all about? Am I supposed to stand in front of a mirror and brush my hair all night? Well, if you want to, I mean, it'll be good for your scalp and your hair. But I go into the different kinds of grooming. And I end with a very kind of critical part, which is the spiritual grooming. It's really giving people the opportunity to reorient your life and giving you 4 choices. And the first choice is to really just follow your desires. You may have taken this birth to experience as much as you can in all kinds of situations. And another possibility is, maybe you've had to raise a family and all your life you've wanted to be an artist or a musician, but you've had to provide for your family and frustrated. So you can really, and I'm just being very kind of glib and short here, but you can kind of set yourself up to be an actor or an artist in your next life. I mean, if a desire is strong enough, it's going to congeal into a karma. The third option I write about is really, and this is sort of taking chance, but it's like being born into a heaven. Now, any inner plane, any inner realm is going to seem like a heaven after you've been in the physical, because there's all this light and sound, which is mystical. But people can be rewarded for heavens. These are for people who've really given selflessly, without ego, in helping people, making a better life. You can be rewarded by, maybe, one of my most advanced spiritual friends, she wants to come back, she may end up in heaven. Well, the thing is, once you go to a heaven, you may be there for a seeming eternity. It may seem like you're there forever. And it may be what I would call a bespoke heaven, like created just for you. But the fact is, eventually your time in the heaven will be up and you'll have to come back and you'll have to face all the karmas you've carried in your reserve. It's called Sanchit karma in Sanskrit. It's your reserve karma. So the fourth option is, you've seen what horrible suffering there is on Earth. I mean, I was just seeing a Time article where a whole village was locked in a basement in Ukraine for a month. It's like they had to sleep sitting up. They had one bucket to defecate in. The Russians locked them in. I mean,
I just can't believe that this goes on today.
Yeah, well, it goes on all over the world. I mean, there's slavery all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, women are battered and abused all over the world by their so-called loving husbands. So maybe you've seen what suffering there is, and you would want an existence of eternal love and an end to suffering. Well, there are spiritual paths that can deliver that, and you can seek that, and that can be your main desire, to go back to God.
Yeah, and you have a lot of step-by-step in here.
Well, actually, the last wisdom, there are 3 kinds of wisdoms. I have 3 groupings of wisdoms in the book. There are the 11 loving wisdoms, the 11 guiding wisdoms, and the 11 evolutionary wisdoms. And the last wisdom I write about is the wisdom of seeking God.
Yeah.
And the last wisdom in the second group is the wisdom of God. I write about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but it just came through.
It comes to you, right? So, I mean, it comes from somewhere. Most people, if they're writing metaphysically, spiritually, all that kind of stuff, it's not really them. It's definitely being channeled. It's being filtered.
It's being filtered from my soul through my higher mind. It's not coming from any other entity. Now, there are people that kind of basically take dictation from another entity or a group of entities. I've read and heard about that, but this is purely what my higher self is getting.
Yes, because you've groomed yourself this whole life, but you've groomed yourself
in the past lives to
past
get
life,
here.
to be this in this life in order to give us your
Yeah.
insight.
My whole approach, and I hope this comes through. Well, I mean, I'm basically a tax accountant who loves to write, and I look at the books as really my service. I hope I'm doing a service, but I love writing, and I love having conversations. I mean, if you asked me to give a talk in front of 10,000 people, I don't know what I would say. I would say, "Are there any questions?" That would be the most comfortable thing for me to do.
I don't think you'd have a problem. I really don't. I think you would just get up there and whatever happens, happens,
Yeah.
Like if I speak in front of a bunch of people, by the end of it, I don't know what I said, but
It
people
just came through.
if
Yeah.
they get something out of it, then they do,
Right.
but you're definitely like that, because you live this, you know what I mean? This is your life. This is not something you're just writing about,
Yeah,
like,
it's really everything I observed. I mean, I was taking notes when I was in between interviews for In Search of Lost Lives because I was kind of frustrated that I wasn't writing anything new. And the sequel to Bliss, More Bliss, was finished, and I had lots of notes for 2 other books. I hope I get to write, but maybe I won't. But I was taking notes, and I went to Florida, and I said, "Well, let me look at the notes." And I started looking at them, and I couldn't help myself. I started to revise them and expand them. But the book really gelled when I was in Delray Beach one evening, and there was this really sweet couple, about 20 years old, having dinner. And between every bite, they would take a picture and post it, what they were having for dinner. And it's like they weren't even talking to each other; they were just posting.
Yep.
And it was we were the only people in this little vegetarian restaurant, and I thought it struck me if they were my twins, a boy and a girl, and I was dying of pancreatic cancer, which my mother did very quickly.
Oh, I'm
She
sorry.
thought she would live to be a lot older than she was. This is the book I'd want to leave them. And that really gelled, and I thought, this is the book I need to complete. And then later on, I was thinking, if I'd had a sister, which my mother always wanted a daughter, she regretted not having a daughter. And she had worked all her life raising a family and working and doing a lot more than her husband. And she finally got to retire. And she hadn't really lived her life. This is the book I would want to give her. So she could really begin to lead the life just for herself.
Right.
That's
A lot of people
her
need
best,
that.
her best self.
Yeah, a lot of people need that because we do live for other people. We were talking about that a little bit before the show. Me and Mama. You're muted though, by the way, right? But we're like, we do this, we do that, we do this for people, and it's like, where is our time, for us to do something for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to fulfill your duties and responsibilities and not take on any commitments you don't think you can fulfill. But being selfish is attending to yourself. And people may think it's selfish to meditate. Well, really, you're raising your vibration and your whole environment, people around you.
Right? You do. You need to be centered and grounded and spiritually there if you're going to be doing all this for everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're just sort of helping people out of ego as something you can put on your resume, that really isn't helping people or yourself. So the whole idea is to inculcate humility and to really vaporize your ego and to find the inner work that'll do that.
Right.
It's a true and tired, maybe tired phrase, but always let go and let God. That's whenever you're going to start something, it's good to remember that.
Yeah.
That is. Oh, here's the thing. Oh my goodness. All right.
Ooh, she snuck in on time. No, I'm gonna mess with you on that, little girl.
Right on time. Holy cow. Okay, listen, we are going to take our little Athena break. She's going to be bringing us our crystal of the week, which is actually this right here. We're going to be talking about
Sodalite.
And let me play her little intro. When that's done, she'll be on, and we'll see you when she's done.
I'll see you in a few minutes.
hello, loves. Yes, just on time. I managed between all the kids, which was amazing. And really in part because soccer was canceled because of rain. So here we are. So hello, everyone. I am Athena Barry, Reiki Master and author of award-winning book, over here, Raise Your Vibes, and my new Oracle deck, Raise Your Vibes Crystal Cards, and creator of Crystal Reiki Healer. And I am so grateful to be back here with you, joining you for another Crystal of the Week segment here on the Fox Den. So let's dive in. So as Gina mentioned, for this week's show, I really felt called to the energy of sodalite. Let me show you my babies here. Oh, I have a little heart. This crystal is absolutely wonderful for that journey within ourselves. So giving us that outside perspective to help us better understand our patterns, our behaviors, and their effect on our lives. Sodalite is number 43 in, I got that right? Yeah, number 43 in my new Oracle deck, Raise Your Vibes Crystal Cards. Out now. Yay, exciting. And this is a crystal of self-awareness as per the card. It activates our third eye chakra, soothing our emotional body while seeing that connection between intuitive dream states and our present physical reality. This connection also soothes our emotional body, right? So that we can really see the path that's laid out before us, showing us how to take that next step on our journey, which, you know, for many of us post-COVID, that can be very tricky. Now, while often sodalite, hi, Mary Jane. Often sodalite is confused with lapis lazuli. So if you're ever in a crystal shop and you're looking, it's really easy to tell the difference because sodalite will not have that golden pyrite coloring in there. And it's always going to be just that simple blue and white when you're getting sodalite. Sunset sodalite, that's a whole nother crystal, and we'll get into that another day. But ways you can use this crystal, it can be worn as jewelry. In your crystal grids, which I love, of course, under your pillow as you sleep. And as you know, I love to tuck them into my bra, but you know, a pocket will do just as well. And of course, it's wonderful to hold in your hands while you meditate, especially when you're, you know, journeying outside yourself or different realms. This is a great one to work with. And of course, I love to leave you with a wonderful affirmation to help you connect with your crystal's energy. And for sodalite, it is, I am fully awakened and aligned within my mind's highest vibration. And that wraps up our crystal segment of the week. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. I really hope that this has brought some value to your show.
As always, I'm putting us back up here. So that is the
There
card.
we are.
Hi, let me switch.
So I am hearing that, Michael's back. I am hearing that the cards are amazing.
Yeah, but we don't have our cards.
We don't have ours yet.
I know. Well, I'll give you a little story of what happened after. I don't want to put it out in public with my publisher, but everything is good. Everything is okay. I'm just a little bit
perturbed.
It's been crazy, right? It's been good. It's been good. Her card sales, everyone that's got the cards has been saying they're amazing.
Aw, thank
I've had
you.
cards drawn for me. Thank you very much. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I love that. Not from me then.
No.
How exciting. Which card did you get? Which crystal did you get?
Oh gosh, you're gonna ask me to put that one in the brain.
I know. Sorry. Well, you know, you said it, so I thought I would.
It
It wasn't onyx? No, I'm kidding.
I'm gonna see. Pyrite.
Oh, pyrite. Amazing.
Yeah.
I just pulled that for another a client yesterday. It was amazing.
And Mary
such a
Jane got
beautiful
hers, and she
stone.
says they slide so nicely.
Oh, I love that. I love
So
love
the
to hear
quality.
that.
So what we're hearing is, aside from the deck itself,
Thank you.
like the energy that you put into it, but the quality of the deck is really
you.
good too.
Thank you. They did a really, really nice job. I mean, you never kind of know how things are going to turn out, but Watkins has been such a blessing in that way. I mean, Raise Your Vibes came out looking so beautiful. Yeah, there it is. That came out
Perfect.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Cards are beautiful. I mean, even on the cards, it has like this nice, if you can tell, like they have
That's nice.
like sheen to them, and I forget what they call that, where it like
Gloss.
in the light.
High gloss.
High glass. Well, it's not even a glass. It's like
No,
it's got this
no,
extra like
Iridescent, not iridescent.
yes,
Oh,
I
okay,
think it's
okay.
iridescent. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
I used to have cards. I did that with my Fox cards. They had the iridescent.
Oh, I love it. It just adds like that extra sparkle and that energy. And they're crystal cards, so they should sparkle, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
So I
it
think
makes sense. Michael,
yeah, and she.
such a pleasure to meet you.
Perfect.
Good. Well, I loved your last presentation when I was on. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Mary Jane Holographic. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. And I saw that, yours is, that journey and, opening that consciousness and subconsciousness, bringing them together. So I thought, well, that's sodalite, right? So if anybody's kind of maybe struggling to wrap their heads around that concept, this is a great crystal to hopefully, help them, enlighten themselves.
Have that and hold on to that while you're, trying to dive into all this concepts in a spiritual journey, basically. So, I mean, you can
it's all about the journey. Yeah.
Dive into this right after that. And then you want to find out about some pretty incredible past lives. Holy
Yeah.
cow. He's been everything. I swear to God, he's been everything. But to recap all those lives and to remember them, and do you actually see yourself like what you exactly look like? I mean, are you living the life as you?
I'm knowing, and it's mainly a knowing experience. I see some things. It's more really informational, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
but I did capture what I looked like when I was on the other two planets. Typically, when I
nice.
had different colored skin and different hair. And how strange I looked. I would look.
I would say
some of the races I wouldn't want to meet in this life would be too scary for me.
And it's similar to how you see yourself now, right? Like you can see your arms, you see your legs, but I mean, unless you're looking into a mirror, like I can tell I have blondish hair, right? So I feel like it's kind of, at least for me, when I've done past life regression, it's like I see myself now, but I look different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, right. I had an idea of what I look like in the Earth lives, but in the other planetary lives, I looked quite different, although I was a human. And
amazing.
And on the first planet, it was more exotic and colorful, but it was just strange on the zine. I mean, if you read those descriptions.
All right. Thank you, Colette. I know you've been very stressed lately. We're always saying prayers for you. We give you all our hugs and love, and for you and your husband, and both. There's just a lot going on there. So, sorry.
That's okay. You know what? We all have. So I feel like there's so much going on for everybody everywhere. It's kind of an interesting time, and working with. Let's see if I can point the right way. Working with, Michael Goddart's work and his book can really help us give some perspective. So, it's, even if right now seems really hard, like think about the trials and the lessons you've gone through to get here and the ones you have to learn here now so that you can move on to, the next. It helps with that, to have some perspective. I feel like especially when you're going through harder times here in the now.
Yeah.
I know. Have you ever gone through a life that has such upheaval as we do now, like with the COVID and with the political nonsense and everything that is like, it just seems like this is such a different.
Things have gotten very intense and extreme, but it was meant to. And as things get heavier, more and more people will turn to spirituality.
Yes.
So that's the positive effect we're going through. I mean, I was in the middle of everything in Tibet because I was basically the Secretary of Diplomacy. So I was dealing with China a lot.
Ooh.
That's where, and one of my childhood friends got held up and quite beaten up by Chinese officials at one point. So that was a very delicate life, having to master all the ins and outs of the government and Lhasa and everything. And it was exciting being in the country, shortly after we became independent when I was in Baltimore. But that life is all about making a living in architecture and searching. I mean, I discovered the Comte de Saint Germain, who's a master about 100 years before that. So I was reading everything I could on him. So there's always horrific things going on in the world, wonderful things. The main thing is to really focus on your path. Be kind every day. Use your intuition. I mean, if you want readings, I did a lot of tarot actually in high school and through my 30s and 40s. My best friend was a professional tarot reader, so we would give each other readings, which was an awfully lot of fun and fascinating.
We
So,
we don't do so much of the tarot. We do more of the oracle.
the Oracle,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he did. Yeah, we did tarot. I mean, I've used Oracle cards before, and I loved it. And your new deck looks really amazing. I'm sorry I missed the introduction, but I had to take a call from nature actually. So,
It's perfect.
I know, the both of them did. Well, that's all right.
It's a 2-hour show. You know, it gives you a
Right.
minute.
Yeah, I know.
I turned off all my ringers, but nature still
Thank you.
rang.
Thank you for that.
It happens.
I like that one. I'm using that now. You know that, Gina. I just gotta go take this call.
Yeah, that's what I tell people.
I'm most
It's out of the bag now, though.
Mhm.
Yep. But that's trusting hope and faith. That's a beginning. I mean, like for all of us though, I really believe though, since the beginning of COVID, before that, the spirituality really big time movement has
Oh
just
yeah.
take
Mhm.
place. Once COVID hit and the panic stopped,
Mhm.
people really started connecting. I
Yeah.
do think it's making a difference in like the overall vibration of the whole planet.
Yeah, I think I think I saw things started to change in 2012. Now it's supposed to be the end of the world, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Yeah, kind of the really beginning of that, everybody getting connected. Before that it was all the monks and the priests and the people that went
Yeah.
studied with the monks and the Buddhists and going off to Thailand and Tibet and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, you have to go join an ashram, and you don't. You can do this in your living room. You can do this by reading, by connecting with all
You can create your sacred space for your spiritual work anywhere. I mean,
exactly.
even just sitting in I always say, like, even if you're just sitting in your car for a moment, pulled over, and you just take a moment for yourself, that's your sacred space. And a lot of us turned into that because there's always a silver lining. I mean, look at how much people have studied and grown during this time too, and had clarity in relationships and brought people either closer or those not meant to be together apart. But it was amazing because otherwise we were just kind of going through life, like
Yeah,
just
going through the motions without
going,
actually living
like,
it.
it's
Yeah,
kind of a little
yeah.
reset button, and
Absolutely.
what's
always a
It's
silver
taught
lining.
people, what a precious gem they have in their life and how fragile it is. And people really, I think some of them have changed direction, really, and really refocused. So all the tools are out there to help you illuminate further.
Yeah, and there really is. There's so many great teachers, so many great books. These are some awesome books right here. I do not have Bliss. I gotta have Bliss.
I'm getting your blessed. I promise.
Just saying, but these are pretty amazing. And I love, what I love? I love the feeling. I don't know what this material is here, but this book feels so neat. It's not.
It
Small.
sounds
nice.
lovely too.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like ASMR
I was
over
just,
there.
I was just thinking that. It's like your ASMR.
Sometimes you read a book and it's like, this one's normal, just the glossy, feels
Right.
right. And all
Yeah.
the things, right. It's just something about this one that it feels different.
Gina's gonna make an ASMR video with it.
And
know,
actually,
I know.
the colors, that was actually a very controversial cover because it's so simple. But the title sort
Yeah.
of plays off Marcel Proust's book In Search of Lost Time, which is like the greatest novel. But the colors are kind of symbolic of our field of being, which is the teal, and the red is our blood flowing through the field of being.
There's always a meaning, right? Always.
Yeah,
A,
that's what came through to me. Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
And I wanted to leave room for the award seals, and we tried. The designer tried to put the award seals on a new now, from the 9 awards it won, but it was just so cluttered, and I loved the cover told such a beautiful story and was so powerful. I said, no, let's just put it on in the front matter. So.
Yeah.
So that cover is just devoid of the award seals.
Now on Bliss, you have a dandelion.
Dandelion, absolutely, yes.
Nice.
I love that. I love that cover that they did for me. I actually, one of my dearest oldest friends who lives in Puerto Vallarta, she said this is the first thing she looks at every morning when she gets up to meditate. She has the cover right there. So if God's will, more Bliss will come out. Bliss is about the 33 essential spiritual strengths and virtues, and more Bliss, which is finished, is about the 33 elevating spiritual strengths and virtues.
Very, very.
Sorry to cut you off, Michael, but we have to throw Athena out.
Say bye-bye to Athena. She's got to go pick up the little princess.
She gotta go be super mom.
Wonderful seeing you again, Athena.
Amazing to meet you, Michael. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me on here. And
We'll catch up soon.
We'll catch up soon, Michael. I'm wishing you so much success in your new book too.
Thank you. I wish you all the best and all your success.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Many blessings. Bye, loves.
Say hi, babe.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.
She cut her own self off. There we go.
All right, I'll switch you guys.
I did it.
Hey, let me do it.
Oh, my goodness! What tricks you have?
Well, we can teach them to you when you start your own show and do your own thing. We'll teach it all to you.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said when you decide to create your own show, we will teach you all the little
Oh,
tricks.
I've been invited twice to start my own podcast, but I felt it would take me away from writing.
We want you to keep writing because then we can have you back on the show.
Right. Thank you.
There's a method to our madness. Not that we don't want you to have one. But
Spirituality, you're getting in touch with your higher self to live a new now, your new now, spiritually enlightened, search of lost lives. He has like over 4,000 past lives that he has gotten in touch with. Spiritual Revolution is just a great little Bible to have in your pocket. It truly is. Use your money as a trust from God. Don't complain, adjust. So just, all these cool things, give an Oscar caliber performance in all your roles, like just all these things, they're great affirmations. They're great resets. It's all resets.
That's perfectly put. It recenters you, it helps you return to your spiritual center, and it's building your spiritual foundation.
yeah,
Right.
And a lot of people I've heard just will open the book to what they feel like opening, and it's just right there for them.
Yeah, I love doing that. I really do. I mean, usually when I get a book, I read it, cover to cover. But then it's like, oh, well, this is a cool one that I can do that. And I know that when you're going through the rough times and you're going through tough times, there's certain books I pick out and I say, I know if I open to the right page, I'm going to read what I need to read.
Yeah.
But this is, you know, definitely that type of a book for me, you know, because they laugh easily. All right. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that you're going to need? You say that to the universe, just like you do when you're doing tarot cards or cards.
Yep.
What is it that I need? What is it that this person needs? You know,
Draw a card, open a book, drop a page.
Yep.
And it makes it simple, because sometimes we make things more complicated for ourselves, or the creators of certain cards and decks make it. Don't get me wrong, I love oracle decks. I love my tarot decks. I still read tarot like I do my oracle, but the books sometimes make it more complicated. With this, it's just short, sweet, and to the point.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I
sometimes
wanted to make it as simple and concise as possible.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. It really well done. I mean, you are a
Thank
fabulous writer, so you definitely, you know, in your spiritual journey and you're grooming through all your lives, it's like the perfect culmination for what we need right here in this present life.
Exactly. And the thing is, you write it for just, as I thought, regular people. You know, because some people who write books, sometimes they write them like there's like big words that I gotta take
Yeah,
a
the
dictionary out.
scholars and the scholarly and the, you know.
Yeah.
you gotta
And,
Yeah,
and your books
yes,
are
I
like,
really want everything to be accessible to people and
Yeah.
to feel that I'm a warm, encouraging friend and presence with them, because I feel like I have reader with me when I'm writing, actually, and revising.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling, actually.
Yeah, you definitely you're very personal. You connect well. You know, you do get your point across like that, and you're funny. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
you write some funny stuff, definitely, but amazing stuff. I mean, I just can't. I keep going back to these, you know, these past lives. Bosnia, you're in Bosnia and Swedish intermediary and Swedish teacher, and the dates, you have the dates down. It's
Yeah, that surprised me how readily I got all the dates. I mean, I could get the birth dates if I wanted to, but yeah, I have all the dates. And as you see, as I came more and more to present time, I have fewer and fewer years between lives, because some people may not come back for 200 years or 300 years.
yeah.
So I was coming back toward the end every 12 or 13 years, because I was like on an accelerated course of spirituality to prepare me for this life.
now, do you have a belief, and I kind of do, all right, that, all right, I know I'm an old soul. I know I've had many lives too. I only know of a few that I've seen and I've been shown a couple times now, you know. But do you think, like, you get to a point where, all right, you're just done. You're just done.
Well, I really do feel this is my last human life and I won't be coming back. But a lot of people say, well, you're an old soul or she's a young soul. Actually, I think a better term is you've been here as a human many times and grown and evolved greatly. Because when you think about it, or is your perception, souls don't have any age because they're immortal. So, I mean, the soul of a zebrafish is really as old, you know, as we are. So, you know, I was talking to a very famous host, you know, who couldn't get over the fact that I knew I had 4,137 human lives.
Coast to coast.
And what?
On coast to coast.
I won't say, but so I said, well, how many lives do you think you've had as a human? He said, well, maybe 12. And I said, oh my God, to be where you are, to reach this level of seeking and knowledge and wisdom, I would be surprised if you had less than 2,500 or 3,000 human lives. To tell you the truth, I would, this is quite likely maybe your third planet. You've been on other planets before.
I think
So,
we underestimate things a lot in our life.
well, we don't,
In this
we're
life.
born under, this cloud of unknowing.
Mhm.
It seems like kind of a raw deal we've been given because we don't have the knowledge, but that's sort of the boon
But
of,
you can clear that out. It is that mind working against you. Your own mind is working against you, basically.
Yeah.
well, the mind really, until you are the master of your mind, your mind really is not your best friend because it just wants to go all over creation. So it's really a question of, do you want to stay in creation and not know what your next lives are, or do you want to leave and achieve immortality? It's really comes down to that. You know, from a young age, I knew I wanted to leave. I wanted to have an existence where I didn't have any suffering. I just lived in bliss and love. Maybe it had something like my family this lifetime. I call them all first timers. We've never had any past lives before. And believe me, I grew up in a war zone. The best feature of my house that we lived in is that my bedroom had a lock on it because I needed it every night
Okay.
and during the day. Many, many times I had to run to my bedroom and lock the door to save my life. So that was a good incentive for getting out of here, to tell you the truth.
Definitely. Yeah.
But, and a lot of people, and I'm not telling people anyway to lead their lives. A lot of people want to come back and do good and help the planet. A lot of people are just really attached to being good, doing good. So that is their place this lifetime.
Yeah.
The main thing is to really know who you are and be true to yourself. I mean, I talk about knowing thyself in the beginning of a new now. And
I think too, though, that people that have lived so many lives too don't have such a fear of death coming. That I think more newer lives have a real big fear of death.
yeah, I really don't have any fear of death. I think I may have a fear of what's going to happen before I die, but as to actual dying, I won't have any, I don't really have any fear.
Yeah, because I absolutely have none.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really don't.
And one of the things I actually personally found really unusual and fascinating is I write about the many deaths I had in the past life book. And really, I've covered all bases with these deaths,
Yeah.
all kinds of ways. I mean, in the beginning of my spiritual evolution, 3 planets ago, when I was a woman, I'm Jorlu, and I had 6 children, and my husband was akin to a lawyer. Um, that life, I was going somewhere and I stopped and sat down and rested and drank water out of a flask. And a huge, huge nut, like 3 times heavier than a coconut, fell down and crashed me on my head.
Oh, that's a good way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. That's how I left. And there was the other life where I ended up in quicksand. That was on another planet. And I was swallowed slowly in quicksand, and that's how I met my end.
Wow. But yeah,
So,
I was shown a life several times that why I'm afraid of marriage. It's like I had
why you're afraid of what?
marriage. I was
Oh, yeah.
forced into, an arranged marriage. My dad wanted me to marry, this man. It was like this arranged thing. But he was after my money. But he killed me on my wedding day. And he used an axe right in my face and threw me over a cliff. And I
Oh my God.
heard it before, and this just came back out again. But it does, it brings
All your fears have a basis. Like wherever we've lived, a really important fact is what is our elevation? I was afraid of a tidal wave. Well, when I was a Lemurian, one of my deaths was, from a tidal wave.
yeah.
That came.
Yeah, or as a mer person, they had a big storm which wiped out a lot of her kind. She was actually washed up on a rock with 2 others, and that's how she passed from that life.
For lack of a better word, I air drowned.
Mm.
I wasn't in the water anymore. I was out, and I couldn't get out, couldn't get back in. So that's where I died.
Craziness, like how those things happen. But
Everything happens for a reason, whether we understand them or not. And I know some people saying, well, the bad things that happen, they for a reason. Find that reason. There is a reason. It may, good, bad, or otherwise, there's always something we get that's a learning experience.
Well, you can make it a learning experience as to knowing, the actual karmic cause of it. That may be, beyond your knowing, but everything happens. And also the other point is not to create new bad karma, not to create pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real biggie that a lot of people are oblivious of.
I think about it sometimes, creating pain for certain people, but I know it's going to come back and bounce its butt on me, so I don't. So a lot of people go, "Oh, Mama D, you're so nice, you're so sweet." They're like you said, there's this time where you're like, you see this person and she's sweet and adorable, but if like there's these lines that you have not to cross with me, and when you cross them, heaven help you, heaven, God, whatever you want to call it. I've got a big old backyard. I'm gonna bury your ass back there one day. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason, like the Buddha asked, before you speak, ask, is it true? Is it kind?
Mhm.
I forget the third thing. But, if somebody slashes you with a knife, that can heal in time. It may leave a scar. But if somebody betrays you and says really bad things to you, you can remember that and be hurt for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So it's really important to be as kind as possible. And if you don't have something nice to say, it's rather just to be quiet, because virtually everybody they're victims of their mind. They're really being run by their mind. And as I illustrate in the book, most people you come across, their lower mind has the upper hand much of the time. They don't have control.
That's a big part of that. Asking for forgiveness and
Mhm.
asking to be forgiven and asking them to forgive you. And
It's always important. I mean, there are like 4 chapters in Spiritual Revolution about forgiveness.
yeah, that's really
Forgiveness is, and if the person, I mean, that's very important. I mean, actually, what we really want more than anything is for ourselves to be forgiven for everything we've done in the past. And that's where meditation comes in. I mean,
Yep.
in your meditation, I'm doing, I'm really petitioning God to forgive me for everything that I've done and that's keeping me here.
Yeah.
It's-
But now
it's-
forgiveness, I think forgiveness and acceptance go hand in hand, because
Yes.
even if you say you are trying to cleanse your soul, say, and you wronged someone and you try to apologize, well, they may not accept your apology, but in your space, your sacred self, you're okay now because at least you apologize.
Right.
It's not-
But if you, I want to expand on that, because if you go to somebody and ask for forgiveness and they won't, God will forgive you. I mean, petition God.
Yeah, you put forward the effort, but
Yeah.
you can't make them, bend to your will. I mean, it's their will,
Mhm.
either now that they know that you want to be forgiven or you are apologetic for whatever, and it's like, well, maybe it might take time.
Mhm.
It could
Well,
take,
it does take time to get over hurt, definitely. But you really want to let go, because this is your chance to live on a higher plane.
Mm.
I
And
mean,
as well, forgiveness is not, for the way I look at it, this is just my opinion. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It lets
Mhm.
you release. It lets you breathe. I mean, there's stuff that's been done to me, and I've just forgiven it because it's like they're not going to understand the pain that they put me through, and even if they do, it's not going to make them. They're not going to feel bad about it. So, I mean, I don't forget, but I forgive because it's not doing anybody any good. Most importantly, it's not doing me any good. So,
yeah, but you're stuck. You get stuck in
yeah,
a
you get stuck in that angry. And
and
also,
that,
for me, I always say that when I lose my temper for some reason, something really sort of flips that switch that I, take off. I give myself 15 minutes to lose it,
Yeah.
not on the person, but on myself. I'll go like where I used to work. I would go throw out the trash, and it was a full body swing of a trash bag into a giant container.
Yep.
That would be my way of expressing the energy. Take that out, do that 15 minutes, putting out the trash. My boss used to say, it's just nice to have you angry once a week and put out the trash. Like, no thanks. This is just too much for me. But I need to get it out of my system. I can't just ignore it because it's in there. It's going to build up. So I ignore it. I do that 15 minutes and then I'm done. And it's like you can take a deep breath. So everybody has to find their own way, but that's my way.
Yeah, and it's good to find your way. And forgiveness is really one of the 5 sources of wisdom I write about in the New Now. I write about, before listening and intuition. Listening.
Intuition is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really one of the themes, one of the things I focus on in the New Now is intuition, and developing your intuition, and in creating a space for inspiration to come as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very
everyone has to trust those, your intuition. That is, those are direct messages. They're direct line from God, from guides, from whatever you want to think. Right? But it's a direct line.
Right, and there are different kinds of intuition. It can be just a sudden kind of feeling that you've got to stop something or do something, or it can just come unbidden and all of a sudden you know something. But it could also just be a very kind of faint feeling, like in the corner of your mind, that is important, but it's easily ignored. So I've learned to really kind of focus on it and ask questions. I mean, you have to create your own process to discover what that intuition is. So there are really actually different types of intuition that come in different ways. And one of the things I think Anu now does well, that's good. Intuition made me leave my last job. Yeah, and intuition made me leave the bank so I could be a writer finally. After toiling in the tax department, I knew I had to change my life.
Paranormal. I put that stuff aside for so long, and then I just stopped ignoring it, and just said, "Nope, okay, all right, you win." And life has never been the same since.
Yeah.
So
Anu now, in many ways, is a primer in using your intuition. It's really like an experiential day-to-day guide on how to live your best life, how to transform yourself to create. I was sort of the least content person, partly because I wasn't living as a writer, but now I'm just happy and content. Well, I've gone through a lot and I've learned a lot, and I'm just grateful I'm where I am.
I'm grateful for where you are and for what you've done, because holy cow, you've written some amazing stuff, and you are, like you said, you are in the process of writing another, and I can't wait to see.
I'm very excited about this new book, which will really, I can't give any details, but it really will present spirituality and the truths of existence in an eye-opening, original, creative way, I feel.
I think what's amazing is that when there are some people out there who, when they write a book, it's just, oh, just got another book, I'll write it and be done with it. But you can see, even for I know you can't talk about it, but the little bits that you share with us, you're like, it's like you glow extra, because it is like having a new child on the way.
Yep. That's exactly how I feel about it.
Your new baby's coming. My God, you got
it's a long time. It has a pretty long gestation period, but it's coming along.
Hey, look, aren't elephants pregnant for 2 years?
Yeah. No. And this book, with the past life book, I knew I was writing about past lives. It was a question of, where do I go tonight? Typically, it's like you've got a group of 7 new lives to discover, and I go one by one and get all the facts. But with this one, every piece I'm writing, I have no idea what I'm getting. It starts with the name of what I'm writing. Yeah. So it's been very challenging, but it's been good to do in the middle of my move, because I can only concentrate with great intensity for so long every day, and then
tag a box or go hang a couple pictures.
Yeah, exactly. That who knows when they'll get hung and the books will get shelved, but I've been taking care of a lot of business. Dealing with companies.
When I moved here, I got 3,900 square foot house, and it's packed.
Wow.
And I think within a month, it looked like I lived here for 15 years.
Really? Well, November and December, I did 6 big donations, and so particularly November, December is all about the donations and getting that documented. And but you've got to attend to your worldly business, and be
Absolutely. Yes,
responsible.
yes. You can't. That This is the thing that really kind of got me about some of the people we've had actually even on the show.
Mm.
They go and join the ashrams and this and that, and it's like, they to me, it's like, I don't want to down them. I don't. But like a mindless puppet, you know what I mean? Walking around and you don't have your head in reality living,
Well, it's sort of like, I mean, what you're saying reminds me of a few clients who were artistic people, singers, body workers, and it's like, the universe will deliver. One client got an inheritance, maybe his only one, it was $250,000,
Mm.
which was a fair amount, a few decades ago. It's like he could have bought a condo, but no, he just lived off of it till it was gone. And so then he had to get a job as a temp doing clerical work when he was a great opera singer. So it's really about being practical and
yeah, you still have to live and you have to do the footwork of life. But doing things, like
responsibly.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
responsibly, yes. But this is just a premise for doing it easier and better, and it gives you a good kickoff for your next life.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Like,
people are fairly self-centered, so if you really want to take care of yourself, you want to be cognizant of what you're setting yourself up for your next life.
Yeah.
Because unless you're unless you don't have any attachments are what bring you back. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can meditate 3 hours a day, but if you're totally attached to some people or some things, that's going to pull you back. But if you just want to keep going for God, you're going to be accelerating into the spiritual. But it's also really key, which we don't talk about, is if you're really serious about not coming back, you want to look for the highest teacher. I mean, I first did a meditation. I mean, I used to meditate on my own, and then I started a meditation when I went to England for my junior year abroad. And I knew this teacher wasn't for me, but it was just something I could do
Mhm.
that would advance me. But you want to align your goals and your purpose with what the teacher is purporting to do, what they're promising. I mean, if you spend your whole life looking for the right teacher or guru
oh,
or master, it is time well worth spent. And that's what I did my last life when I was a co-owner of an English office supply company.
never
That
stop.
was my secret life. I read book after book after book, trying to find what I was trying to find.
Mm.
Now, and it really prepared me for this life because when I go into the San Francisco, which I call the city, with my mother, who's an artist, we would go to art galleries,
Mm.
and which I really enjoyed. But after a while, and they were all on Sutter Street, where most of the galleries were. Well, there was a metaphysical bookshop on Sutter Street, and after a while, I'd say, "Can I take a break?" And she said, "Sure." And we'd make arrangements of where to meet, and I would go to the metaphysical bookshop. And I just knew I was looking for a particular book, but I had no idea what it was. And I would pull down book after book, I would skim it and look at the table of contents, and I would put it back, and I knew it wasn't the book.
Right.
So when I finally found the right book, it was in Berkeley at Shambhala on Telegraph Avenue. By the time I finished the preface, I knew this is what I've been searching for since I was 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I'm curious, Michael. You said that you believe that this is your last lifetime on this planet, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And Dave's just said in the chat room that he knows that this is his last time in this reality. Gina, do you think this is your last time?
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I'm the only one who knows that I'm coming back.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
somewhere else.
be perfectly fine.
I'm done here. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't feel like I have.
I don't feel like I have anything that I'm needing to learn, but I feel like I'm coming back, that it's something that I want to share. there's something I want to help with. So that's where my thing is. I'm not sure what it is, but I know that this is not my last time. Laura, you're not really good.
And that's a really good point, Mama D, because after this life between lives, there's a good chance you're going to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Now, in Search of Lost Lives, I write about my cohort of 7. This was like my cohort of mind and souls entities, where we're evolving together spiritually, and we be in contact with different spiritual teachers and preparing for our next life. So it may be really a thrilling, benevolent thing you're going to be preparing for, Mama D. So that's exciting.
I just keep saying people ain't gonna get rid of me that easy. Because I have this running joke. Like people say, when I pass on or something, and I'd be like, no, I've already been there, and they can't handle me, and they're afraid of me down there, so I'm here for eternity. Because I just know that this is not this physical body will go at some point in time, but the soul, it's not done here. Now, as to what it is I'm going to teach, it's something that I want to do. It's not something that I have to do. It's not something for me to learn, but it's something that I have to share, that I have to teach.
Well, it's a service you want to give people.
It's like,
it's a
service. Mary Jane says same for her. And it's just, and it's funny because most people I either hear, they go, oh no, I don't want to come back, or oh, this is the end. I don't want, I'm not coming back. They're so sure on not wanting to or not going to. But I'm like, oh, I'm sure I'm coming back.
But the thing is, they may be unaware of everybody has a reserve of karma, and their karmas may bring them back regardless of what they want.
True, very true.
I mean, if you have debts, maybe they will exist in an inner plane for a seeming eternity. But until the karma is paid off, you're going to be coming back. Ideally, as a human, if you've been kind enough. Although some human lives are pretty tough.
I've been kind.
That life when I was a mother, when I ended up getting clunked on the head by that humongous coconut-like thing, I did come back as a dog, actually, but it was not a hard life because I was so tired and tuckered out from the 6 children and running around. I just wanted to be taken care of and have an easy time.
I know. I would love to come back as one of my pets.
Oh, I know.
As much as I love my pet and pamper my pet. I mean,
yeah. No, I think a lot of dogs have been humans in their past life, and they come back and they have great lives. I mean, so many people, particularly people who boarded my dog and know me, they said, your dog is just so lucked out. He's so lucky. But I'm lucky to have him. He's a wonderful companion.
Yeah. We love it. I mean, I got Biscuit now after my Lacey passed away, and I wear my for Lacey. But I rescued this little Chihuahua mix guy, couldn't love him anymore. He's like right on my side all the time.
Well, the joy about pets, particularly dogs, but also cats, but even hamsters and rabbits, is that you can just really give them your love without any ego being involved.
Yeah.
And there's no history of what he said and what you said. So I think pets are just a gift.
Totally. And I swear I think Bob gets jealous of Biscuit sometimes.
Biscuit smooches you and gets no problems. Like smooch him, mommy.
Yeah, you take care of me like that. It's like, because you can take care of yourself and he can't.
Exactly. You have hands and thumbs.
Well, you can interact with the animals without your ego, without.
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah, there's no questioning. It is what it is. That's that saying. I hate that saying, but that's what with an animal, it is what it is. There's no yes, they love you for food. Yeah, but you don't have food and they're still gonna love you.
Yeah. No, it's devotion.
If you don't give Bob his Dunkin' Donuts coffee, he won't love you no more. I'm like, hey, come on, Bob, admit it. If you don't give up the Dunkin' Donuts, you're not gonna be like, what?
It's so true. It's so true. I know, and he sits here. He's so patient. He's got his little and everything.
Actually, I named my dog Bhakti,
Oh,
BH. Do you know what? Have you heard of the word bhakti?
No.
no.
Bhakti. It
Oh,
is
it's Sanskrit. Yeah.
Sanskrit for devotion.
Ooh, very
Love
nice.
it.
And actually, I actually practice bhakti yoga and Sarat Shabbat yoga. And Sarat Shabbat yoga is like the union of the soul with the Lord, with love source. But it is bhakti yoga.
Well, I'm not that creative with my names. But like Lacey got her name because when I first brought her home, she would, little teeny itty bitty Lacey, would go down the hall, grab my shoes, and make a pile of shoes at the top of the stairs. And the the little plastic tips on the laces, she would chew those. Not the shoe
Oh,
itself, just the little lace tips. So that's how she got her name, Lacey.
oh,
And Biscuit had his name before he came to me, but I call him everything.
mhm.
Everything. Biscaboo.
Well, for me, so far the animals that I have in the house were all named from their color. Now, Onyx, I don't know if you can see him. He is Shih Tzu, and his name is Onyx. So you would assume to look at a black dog. When I got him, he was mostly black and browns and reds, a tiny little bit of white. But that's so my daughter saw him and she said, "Oh, Mom, his name is Onyx. It's perfect." I was like, "Okay." First haircut he got, now he's all white. So
Yep.
it's kind of odd. People go,
That
"It's
is
a white
odd.
dog and you call him Onyx." I said, "Look at his nose. It's not." I have a red cat,
I
a
love
ginger cat, who I
Michael.
call him Ember, like embers of a fire. So
It's getting close to our time. Are there any outstanding questions that have come through?
No, I think it's a quiet day. I'm not sure what's going on. It's a quiet day. I think everybody's with this. For me
Winter.
up here, the weather is like, but
Yeah.
we will be. We have had quite a few that have popped in and out. We've had 15 people popping in and out, so which generally means that they will be catching up on the audio version later. So, and sometimes we do get people who message in the either, usually it's the YouTube version and the Facebook. They will message and they have questions. So Gina and I, we do take care of that. There.
Yep. But I want you to recap because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
The difference between higher mind, better mind, and nobler mind.
Well, that's really kind of describing the same thing. They're using, adjectives to describe it better, but your higher, better, nobler mind, I differentiate from your lower mind. And your higher, better, nobler mind is what makes someone, a noble creature who exemplifies the virtues. It's what makes somebody really a saint. They will have their higher mind is predominant. Your lower mind is the mind that makes you lose control. I mean, why do people do stupid things? Get drunk, go driving, and get in an accident.
Yeah.
Their lower mind is in control. I mean, why do people say hurtful, hateful things? Their lower mind is taken over. So that's the main thing. The thing is to really develop an awareness of when you're acting out of your lower mind, and to do the spiritual work, whatever it is, whatever you're pulled to empower your higher mind.
And what would you say to people that are just starting out on their spiritual journey? What would be a good way for them to get in touch meditation wise? Like, would it be?
Well, the chapter on the wisdom of doing nothing I think they might enjoy reading, and just take a minute or 2 minutes and just do nothing, and open yourself to God, whatever you want to call that higher being. If you're an atheist, that's fine. You can challenge. I don't believe in you, but I'm challenging you. And don't expect miracles. I mean, the miracle is that you're thinking that no, there's no God. I mean, the opposite of, people who hate something passionately really love that thing. So just take a moment, take time out. We are slaves of time. We're living in the domain of time. So do your best to take time out to just be with your best self and do nothing, and allow the love source or God, whatever you want to call, the great mother.
I like the love
Yeah.
source because people get afraid of the word God for whatever reason.
Well, they are, and Lord has all these connotations. So I like love source or supreme being. I feel it's a good word because
Yeah.
we're part of that being. I mean, think of the supreme being as think of the sun, and we're rays of the sun, and we can go back to the sun.
Yeah. So
Yes,
true.
absolutely. All right. Well, listen, everybody. I think we've covered so much stuff, and it's just you guys got to get these books, right? If you're interested in the lives that this man has documented here, which is a fascinating read, it's just so cool.
Check it out.
Just so cool. But if you really want to improve your life and you want to live a better now, this is the way to do it. This is like it is like having a little. This is a nightstand book. You put it on the nightstand. You can open it up to any page. It can start your day. All right. If you're struggling, you can open up to any page. It's not. It's a quick read because it's fast. It's concise. It's precise.
Mhm.
So you can read it cover to cover in a day easy. Okay. But when you comprehend what is in here, you're going to want to keep it handy to open it up and do that just to
To see the message that the universe or the light love source is trying to share with you.
reaffirm a lot of things,
Yeah.
and it is this big reset, and we all need that. So again, but we're gonna say goodnight to everybody, and Michael, hang with us for a few minutes.
I will, and really loving thanks to both of you. It's just been a delight to
been
be
our
with
pleasure.
you and change everything.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on the new book too, and you have to let us
We're
know.
looking forward to it.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we will see you next week. I don't have handy because I've just been too out straight who our guest is next week, but I'm sure it's going to be great. And it always is, right? But thank you, Michael. And
Oh, thank you, Gina and Mama D.
we'll see y'all next week. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests. We stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, as well as all our Anchor FM venues. We hope you enjoyed our show, our guest, and our featured Crystal of the Week segment with Athena Bari, and we would also appreciate it and love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, like, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.